Good evening, everyone. I, Renu Chawla, Project Assistant, welcome you all on behalf of ANON Global Foundation for the final presentation session for the 3 weeks internship program offered by ANON. I am sure all the interns must have had their best of efforts in this 15 days training program and has an extraordinary experience while working on their topics. I welcome jury members. Miss Aparna Sahai, a retired civil servant and an activist campaigning the cause of gender equality, good governance, and sustainable development. She has her specialization in environment, gender, education, and governance. Currently, she is serving as Secretary, Sandhan, which is Society for Study of Education and Development, a technical resource institution with pan-India presence. She is also a chairman of Sara and Manthan, which is an NGO in Rajasthan involved in social action for rural advancement through natural resource management. I welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you.
And I would also love to introduce Dr. Jyoti Bajaj. She is a gold medalist, special educator from Lady Irwin College, Delhi University, and gold medalist, physiotherapist from Kurukshetra University. She is working as special educator and counselor with DPS Rohini since last 5 years. She excels in promoting mental health awareness and training and has conducted several training programs, webinars, and interactive sessions with students, parents, and teachers on the subject. I thank both the jury members for their valuable time. We have Team Yugan with us who will be sharing their ideas on the topic Understanding Various Perspectives. The team is mentored by Ria Jobson. We have Architi from Delhi, Devika Bist from Delhi, Namita Chabra from Haryana, Shreen Sharma from Delhi, and Tanishka Tyagi from Delhi. Now, I request the team to please come forward and kindly start the presentation.
Thank you so much, Renu ma'am. It's been a great introduction. I would like to start with a quote. You can't change the past, but you can for sure change the perception. This is a very famous quote from Franklin. These two lines can surely be given a thought for a while now, but I'm pretty sure after our presentation, let this quote be a thought for a lifetime. A very warm greetings to the ANON organization, the YWCF India, and reputed judges. I'm Ria Jobson, mentor of the team Vijayan, here presenting all with the topic Understanding Varied Perspective. Finding fault with others is easy. Forgiving their fault is difficult, but it is way more difficult to understand why did they do that fault. This presentation will brief you about why did they do that fault and how come we can move forward to this issue. Moving on to Devika to start with our presentation.
Renu, enable screen sharing.
Now check.
A very good evening to one and all present here. On the behalf of Team Yugen, I would like to thank all of you for coming here today. As we all know that the way we see or understand others plays a very crucial role in our lives, so today Team Yugen is going to put light on the topic Understanding Varied Perspectives. Before starting with the presentation, I would like to thank ANON Global Foundation with YWCF India for giving us this golden opportunity that was a great chance for learning and professional development. Therefore, we consider ourselves very lucky individuals as we were provided with an opportunity to be a part of it. We are also grateful for having a chance to meet so many wonderful people and professionals who led us through this internship period. We express our deepest thanks to our mentor for giving necessary advices and guidance and arranged all facilities to make it easier. We choose this moment to acknowledge her contribution gratefully. We perceive this opportunity as a big milestone in our career development. Let's begin with a brain exercise. You must be seeing a coin in my hand. So, Architi, which side of the coin can you see?
Oh, I can see heads.
Great. Namita, which side of the coin can you see?
I can see heads as well.
Well, I am able to see tails. So, you can see the difference between our perspectives. Let's do another exercise. Think of the color blue.
Can't
I give
hear
you
you,
3 seconds.
Devika.
Yeah.
Will you please repeat it because we couldn't hear you?
Am I not
Uh,
audible?
would you repeat what? Now you are audible, but the one or two sentences you said just now, we couldn't hear that.
Yes, Mama, I'll repeat it.
You were
So, let's begin with a brain exercise. You must be seeing a coin in my hand. So, Architi, can you tell me which side of the coin is visible to you?
Oh, I can see heads.
Okay, Namita, can you tell which side of the coin is visible to you?
I can see heads as well.
Well, I am able to see tails. So, over here, you can see that how our perspectives differed. Let's move on to another exercise. Think of the color blue. I give you 3 seconds. Three, two, one. Time up. So, Shreen, which color did you think of?
I actually thought of light blue.
Tanishka, which color did you think of?
I thought of dark blue.
So, that's great. So, you all must be wondering how come everyone has different views on the same topic, right? So, let me tell you, it's the game of perspective. It is not at all necessary that everyone have same perspective of seeing things. It can be different as well. Now, let's understand, what do you mean by perspective? Your perspective is the way you see something. Every single human being is said to have a different and unique perspective of seeing his or her surroundings. Your perspective also includes your ideology and your philosophy. So, now, a very common question: does everyone have a different perspective? Surprisingly, the answer is yes. Every single human being is said to have a different perspective. Now, let's see how does it work. You must be able to see an image in front of you. It is basically an optical illusion art. You must be able to see two scenes in this image. So, Shreen, can you tell me what can you see in this image?
I believe I see the side profile of an old man.
Tanishka, can you tell what can you see in this image?
I see a landscape with a woman and a swan.
Okay, you both are right. In this image, we can see side profile of an old man and a lady with a swan. We can conclude from this that we see what we want to see and believe what we want to believe. Right? So, moving on to story, let's understand. In a village, there lived a master and his disciples. Once, his two disciples got into a fight that's whose perspective is right and whose is wrong. One said, I am right. The other said, I am right. Then they both decided to go to the master and ask that who is right. Both of them went to the master and asked him, Master, please tell us who is right and who is wrong. The master's reply surprised them. He said, you both are right at your places. It's not necessary that everyone's perspective is same. It can be different. Everyone sees what they want to see and believe what they want to believe. And do remember that no perspective is wrong. Now, I would like to hand over the presentation to Architi.
Okay. Understanding means knowing, right? They say if you know something, you understand the thing. But there is a really big difference between knowing and understanding. Knowing is taking in the information and reading about the different ideas. But in fact, information gathering is knowing. So, do we take time to understand? Understanding is having that knowledge and being able to think about it and applying it. It's more of a conceptual piece, more of a brain function which process your knowledge that you have into that specific concept. So, in everyday life, people observe others people actions, behaviors and make inferences about other person's attitude based on what they observe. When people see how another person acts in a particular manner, they often attribute the behavior of the person to its trait and attitudes. For example, if you view someone in park recycling a water bottle rather than throwing it away in the garbage, you will infer that the individual is concerned about the environment. Interestingly, sometimes people also observe their own behavior as much as an outsider might do and make similar inferences about their own attitude on basis of their own behavior. According to self-respection theory, when people are unsure of their own attitude, one way to inform them is by looking at their behaviors. Daniel then proposed self-respection theory in 1967, where he argued that people sometimes analyze their own behavior in the same fashion as they would analyze someone else's behavior. At the time, Ben was proposing that a person who perceives himself or herself interested in biking may, as a result of that interest only, buy bicycling equipments and go on a long bicycling rides. That is, the person's attitude and self-perception influence on his or her behavior. Bem, however, reversed this theory in the relation by suggesting that it is also possible that people understand their attitudes and interests because they had made inferences about their own behaviors. People's emotions and their own feelings come from such actions as a facial expression, postures, and behaviors. In this way, feelings are consequences of our behavior rather than the other way around. People are angry because they scroll. People are happy because they smile. This is the effect of self-inspection. Now, I bet everyone has experienced the self-inspection effect, and let's prove it right here. And let's take this scenario for an instance. You had a terrible day. The things have been gone way wrong and now you're feeling very irritable. However, you remember that you have made previous plans to meet up with your friends at a small gathering at that evening only. When you arrive there, you smile and elect happy and warm, polite behavior. And when the others at the gathering are chit chatting with you, then it's a very big challenge for you to maintain that irritable behavior at the gathering with your mates, right? So you smile instead, and by smiling, your body releases dopamine, which eventually will convert your behavior. Our behavior changes our attitude, and different human beings' behavior arises different attitudes, which sometimes leads to conflicts. Well, we all are familiar with the word conflicts, but why does these conflicts arise? Let's see. For instance, I just moved into a new house. I have completely settled in there. But the only thing left and I don't like is the color of the walls. So I'm thinking to repaint them. But while looking at the palette, I'm very confused. What color shall I pick? So, Namita and Shreen, can you help me out with the colors? Why don't you give ideas?
I think blue would be a great choice.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I think lavender will be a great option.
Why so? Can you give me some like what basis do you guys think that?
I think blue would just be a pop of color and be very soothing, and thus I
Mhm.
believe blue would be a great choice for you.
But lavender is much more of an elegant choice for me. It will just make it perfect for me.
Okay, so you see here, their perspective on color are conflicting. These conflicts does arise as their thought processes are different. Their perspective does vary. The self-respection effect allows people to gather important clues from their external environment and apply them on their attitudes and understandings of what they are feeling internally. But now you must be thinking, like, why did I mention this theory in here, right? Well, just like the mirror's reflection, we see ourselves daily to check in how we are looking. Even knowing how we actually look like, we just feel like to recheck it somewhere in our life, right? Mirrors at different places and types showcase our reflection in varied backgrounds. We might be very comfortable and go to with our bedroom mirrors, just like our self perspectives. But unless we check out ourselves in the mirrors present in other places, we won't be able to understand varied perspective. And hence, like a mirror's reflection, we assume the other person will have the same perspective as ours, but it is not always possible to see our perspectives in others too. Now, I would like Namita to continue this.
Thank you, Architi. So, before taking the topic in detail, I would like you all to watch a short movie on understanding varied perspective.
What about doing the unknown? Nah, I don't think that will bring the attention we need.
You must be wondering what in heaven the chaos is all about. So let's shed light on what is taking place right here. Maya and Danny are the two photographers at Net Geographic Company. They have been handed over a piece of project regarding the upcoming series of Net Geo.
Sorry, Danny, I get it. I feel like everyone is seeking a way of content optimizing just to hack the algorithm and get in early on a big trend. I feel you, but look at the brighter side and look at what the trend gives you. The audience will love it, and also it will save both our time and energy. But we ain't making the content we like. We are making the content just to fit in what's blowing up on the algorithm. By making our own content, we will lose the chance to blow it up, and we will also ultimately lose the chance that the company has given us. Imagine if we are tired of same trends repeat itself, then others must be too. What if the creative space actually focused on creating the high quality, unique content, trying to actually create the photos? I agree, but this is the 21st century. And if we want the bread in our hand, we need the money for it too. And if we've got the save aside with us, why do we have to take a risk that might eventually harm us? The concept of copy pasting others' concept is making me think that creatives must be somewhat an ironic term in this industry now that doesn't reward true creativity. We shall make the content true to ourselves.
And here we stand in the end, where both Danny and Maya are absolutely correct with their point of view.
Mom, I'm not listening anything. We are going with you, and that's final.
Jaya, I can understand you, but you also need to understand that this is not good for all of us.
You know we can't live without you. And for 6 long months, it's impossible.
You all might be wondering what's going on. Why is everyone fighting here? So let me show you.
Isha, I do understand it is difficult for you as a mom and as a wife, but it is really important for you to move to Mumbai.
Alright, so.
Shreya's family live in Jaipur. Shreya's mom, who has been working as an assistant manager, has to shift to a rural area for her work for about 6 months.
Shreya, why do you want to go with your mom?
My dear aunt, yesterday you were reading something? Remember? She's the sunlight in my day. She's the moon I see far away. She's the tree I lean upon. She's the one that makes trouble be gone. Yes, aunt, she's my mom. I can't live without her, and I can't even imagine to spend 6 long months without my backbone.
That's absolutely right. Anisha, I think you should take her along.
I can understand her. But you only tell me, what about this house? What about her school? She has been living with all the facilities since the starting, but she is not realizing how much difficult it is to live in a village.
My god, please help them. Even I'm confused who's right and who's not.
Well, don't you all think these all movies left us with a suspense? Architi, what do you think?
Yes, you're right. I want to know what happened next.
You are right. So, Devika, what if I ask you, what did you understand from the family perspective? What do you think? Who was right, mom or the daughter?
Well, I guess that both of them were. They both had different perspectives.
You are absolutely right. Basically, the conclusion of the movie simply says that everyone is right in their own way. God has blessed us with different identity, right? So why not opinion? Everybody has a different opinion, just like mom and the daughter. Being concerned about her daughter, the mom wanted her to stay with the best facility. Similarly, the daughter wanted to be showered with mother's love and she did not want her mother to stay away from her just as any child feels. So, both were correct in their own sense. Well, we don't know what would have happened. Maybe the mom or the daughter had to sacrifice their opinion and respect the others. And the message we get here is that sometimes we should respect others' opinion and sacrifice ours, not because we are wrong, just because both have different perspectives. Well, coming to the work scenario, we saw that Danny wants to go with the flow and follow the trend so that they could catch eyes of others, whereas Maya is trying to keep up with the unique ideas to catch up the attention. So we see both are right but have different perspective. Shreen, what do you think? Who could have been the possible what could have been a possible solution for their argument?
I think the best solution possible would have been to merge their ideas.
Yes, you are right. Their opinions clashed, and the possible solution of this scenario can be that they both could have respected both of the perspectives and taken point from both of them. So we saw two different scenarios, and the solution for all this that respect the perspectives of each other. If we'll not do that, then there is no sense of even talking to solve things because continuous clashing of opinions will finally lead to more chaos. Thank you, and I would like to hand over the presentation to Sreen now.
Moving on, let's understand the whys, hows, and what's of our agenda through something we enjoy more than anything and relate to more than anything: movies. Three Idiots was indeed a masterpiece, but have you ever tried looking at the two very contrasting perspectives presented? Virus and the three students. Both of them wanted the exact same thing: success, but through different ways. This is how opposite perspectives can coexist in the same society and environment, but still lead to the same thing and still be right. While the students wanted to opt for a more fun and practical way of learning, Virus simply wanted a more practical way of life that is apparently academics. Often, two paths lead to the same destination. Now, consider these two paths to be two different perspectives of two different people. Here, Virus and the three students. Now, let's talk about another movie, namely Mary Kom. Mary Kom is a renowned Indian boxer. Mary really wanted to achieve something in life, but the people around her believed in the misogynistic ideas that the whole society conjectured true and held up against her. This difference in perspectives pushed Mary Kom to work harder and prove everyone wrong, and she indeed did, thereby leading to her personal growth as well as a boxer and an individual. From this, we can conclude two things. Number one, that two or more perspectives can indeed exist in a society and also be right or wrong. And number two, that difference in perspectives can indeed lead to development, as we've seen in Mary's case. With this, I believe I would like Tanishka to take on from here.
Yeah. So let me ask you one question. Namita, which controversial historical figure do you remember?
I remember Genghis Khan.
Shreen, what about you?
I immediately thought of Adolf Hitler.
Since you've mentioned Hitler, may I know what are your thoughts on him?
I believe he was an absolutist who believed that Jews were not human and considered them to be inferior and tortured them just because they were Jews.
I see. Let's take a short history lesson and look into why that happened. So, the Nazi Party's ideology, whose dominant force was Adolf Hitler, believed in a perfect world view of hierarchy with divisions of races into superior and inferior races. They considered the Aryan race to be naturally superior, and therefore they have the right to rule. In this view, Jews were seen as an anti race, destructive, and inhuman. Now, a question arises that how did they develop such perspectives and feelings against the Jews? Hitler did not invent the hatred of Jews. Many cultures and societies dating back to the beginning of civilization played a role in these anti Semitic beliefs. Adolf Hitler himself explained that he had no feelings towards the Jews before he moved to Vienna. Hitler was convinced that the panel members of Vienna Academy of Fine Arts who rejected his application were Jews. Another theory is that a Jewish doctor unsuccessfully treated his mother Claire when she had breast cancer. Germany's loss of World War I was another big trigger. Hitler was bought into the philosophy that Germany was stabbed in the back by the Jews during World War I. Jewish people were extremely involved in the socialist and communist movements, which led to the revolutions in both Germany and Russia, which were seen as weakening the war effort. Now, in this worldview, nature and biology were seen very important because, according to the Nazi interpretation of nature, there exists a hierarchy, and this stands versus the main idea of the era as they perceived it, and that is equality. Equality emerged with Enlightenment, and Nazism stood opposite to that idea. Now, where does equality come from? Equality, which we find in socialism, in communism, in capitalism, in democracy, comes from Enlightenment. Enlightenment emerged from Christianity, and Christianity emerged from Judaism. So we're coming back. Jews are at the origin of the idea of equality. They stand versus the natural principle of hierarchy, and Nazism is representing this principle of nature. And therefore, society should be ordered, and nations should be ordered according to the place on the ladder of nature. And Jews are actually outside this ladder. So, what do we get from taking a peek into the views of the side despised the most? We begin to understand that Nazis saw their ideology as a very good means to unite the people, and there's nothing wrong in that. It is a way for them to control the people because not all Germans were Nazis. They felt that their perspective and methodology was right for them and those around them. Moving on, Architi, may I know who is your inspirational role model?
Oh, it's Mr. Abdul Kalam.
Devika, may I know who is your inspirational role model?
Mother Teresa.
Oh, let me narrate a story to you about an incident which occurred with Mother Teresa. One day, she was walking under the scorching heat of the sun. There was nothing left for her children to eat. The orphanage could not provide food to so many children. There was one shop nearby. She went and implored the shopkeeper to give her something for the helpless children. She held out her hand, pinning her hopes on him. She needed to give food to her children, or else they would simply spat on her hand, denying her any food. She quietly wiped her hand on the edge of her sari and held out her other hand. She spoke in an even, low voice. I am grateful to you for what you have given me. I now request you not to spit on the other hand and give something for the children. The shopkeeper was astonished by her modesty. He was speechless. He asked for her pardon. This incident was an eye opener for him. So the shopkeeper had his reasons for despising Mother Teresa and acting rudely to her, as he was a rich man who considered such charitable activities to be futile and a waste. But Mother Teresa was doing them all the time, which was not pleasing for the shopkeeper. He believed his perspective to be correct. However, Mother Teresa's acceptance of suffering, her humility,
Her ability to stay at peace in the midst of hatred opened up this man's heart, and he gave her some alms, and in fact, we're told continued to give for the rest of his life. So we can conclude that perspectives can also have the power of changing and broadening another person's way of perceiving things. I would like to hand over to Shreen, who will take up our survey analysis.
Team Yugen recently conducted a survey, and we were ever so grateful to get the varied perspectives of people through this survey based on understanding varied perspectives. We received almost 205 responses with people ranging from 13 years of age to 50 and above, and people of different sexualities. Now, let's move on to the first question. So, difficulty in viewing things from other people's point of views. We can all recall experiences of conflict with the boss we respect, with friends, with people we love, and of course, we can all recall these instances. And thankfully, it seems that most of us understand that there are two different sides to this situation. Almost 47.3% believe this. Now, let's move on to the next question. Many try to empathize with other situations. This indeed proves our point that humans are empathetic creatures at heart and understand the emotions of a person. And now let's move on to the next question. There are two sides to every question, and try to look at them both. Like Devika first showed us in the exercise that we had, the two sides of a coin. There are two sides to every single question. While one might be yes and the other might be no, both of them are not exactly wrong or right, and thus most people, in fact, understand that. And then again, like I said before, humans are empathetic creatures at heart. Before criticizing, they do try to understand the situation of the person before them and understand how they might feel if they get criticized, but also try to make them understand that neither of their perspectives are right or wrong. And towards the end, many people absorb others' emotions. They try to understand, again, the very foundational idea that we have been laying throughout the presentation, that it is really important to understand other people's emotions and understand them. Moving on to another point, pity. While some people believe it to be empathy, some people believe it to be perspective taking, some people take it as pity. People understand emotions and also are sensitive to emotions, which our survey thoroughly proves on the brighter side. And then again, people try to put themselves in others' shoes. It is like a volleyball game. They understand the two sides of the net. The two different sides across the net. They try to understand what the other might be feeling and try to put themselves in others' shoes. People are confident about their perspective. People do believe that their perspective might be right. Like Devika already mentioned before, we believe what we want to believe and we see what we want to see. People are indeed confident about their perspective, but most of them do indeed try to understand that there are two perspectives in the situation and try to empathize with them. And since we're all humans, we do indeed feel helpless in emotional situations, and it is indeed psychological, and it is ultimate that we might feel helpless in emotional situations, and it becomes difficult for us to analyze situations thoroughly. With that, I would like to pass over the presentation to Namita.
Yeah. So we see that majority of people do or try to understand the perspective of the others. They empathize in different situations, and that's perfect. Well, I can't deny the fact that other minority has the strength to accept their weakness, that they are not able to connect with the other perspective now, but I guess that maybe after attending this survey they will gradually start understanding it as well. To be honest, this feeling of understanding and respecting different perspectives comes with time. And there is no bad in learning slowly and steadily. So, at last, I would like to conclude the survey part by saying that let's focus on turning our weakness into our strength and take a good, fair decision in future. Now, we all would like to conclude the presentation with short notes by sharing what we all did learn from this presentation. Perspective, a word which itself is so versatile. We now know what is perspective, how it differs, and what I learned till now is that we should just keep ourselves in other situations first and then take a decision. When it comes to empathy, the point is not to ask ourselves what we would do in any given situation. It's to try and understand what another would do. Lastly, we should respect each other's perspective. Perspective taking requires the maturity to gain the knowledge and be respectful of another person's personal beliefs. Everyone is right in their own way, and this is the key sentence we should all know in our lives. Tanishka, can I know your views?
After having an in depth insight into understanding various perspectives, I would like to say change how a situation occurs to you, change how you will respond to the situation. Our perspectives shape how we act or react in a situation. No perspective is right or wrong by default. It's just a point of view of a single person based on their life experiences and values, which are capable of changing and evolving. Architi, may I know your views?
Yes, from my point of view, perspective taking relies not only upon our ability to share emotions with others, but also upon our capacity to regulate our own emotions. Secondly, to understand varied perspectives, one should not always try to interrupt the words of another person. Sometimes we misinterpret things which lead to conflicts. Sometimes the other person want to speak something, but because of our misinterruption, we may take it in a wrong way. Now, I would like to hear Devika's point of views on this.
I would like to conclude that we should respect everyone's perspective. No one's perspective is incorrect, as Namita already mentioned. So, I would like to hear Shreen's views on this.
All the things I believe. Let's imagine if we could encourage an entire generation of youth to look at every issue from a holistic perspective, taking the needs and well-beings of others into consideration. It would transform the way we make decisions, our attitude towards others, and our behaviors, and also be able to understand and respect other people's perspectives. We can create a more compassionate, equitable, and sustainable world for all of us. With that, I believe I have stated my conjecture.
Thanking you. This was Team Eugene, guided by our wonderful mentor, Ria Jobson. I am Tanishka Tyagi, the team leader. We have Shreen, our creative head, Architi Dadwal, research head, Devika Bist, technical head, and Namita Chabra, the analyzation head. We wholeheartedly thank you for providing us this opportunity to research and present on such a wonderful agenda.
Okay, please
Can
stop
we
share.
stop sharing the screen, please?
So, thank you, Team Yugan, for the wonderful presentation. Now, I would like to request Aparna ma'am to share her views regarding the presentation and move on with the question answer round.
I would like to congratulate Team Yogan for doing an excellent job of this topic, which I thought was very mature. And Devika, Architi, Renu, Shireen, Tanishka, and Namita have done excellent job. I think Ria Jobson has done a wonderful job. You analyzed perception as well as perspective. We didn't talk much about cognitive thing, but it came so easily into it that when you ended that when you talk of a holistic perspective and an overall development, sustainable development, then it made lot of sense. The examples were wonderful, whether it was Mother Teresa's, whether it was Hitler's, whether it was Three Idiots or Mary Com's. um, I think in a democracy, in a country like India, we are a vast country and with lot of plurality. So we see different perspectives everywhere. The earlier government had a common minimum program because um, it was a coalition government. There were several parties, different parties, and parties have different ideologies. And those ideologies may or may not be right in others' eyes. But when we talk of common minimum program, then it makes sense. I wouldn't agree with you when you say that, well, everyone's perspective is right, because somebody's perspective saying that, well, women should live in a particular manner, that may not hold true. But understanding that, and you know, when you are standing in front of a skyscraper, you feel it's a very huge structure. But when you're flying and when you see the skyscraper, it looks small. So perspectives differ. But when you understand each other's perspective, then that understanding broadens, and there are common denominators. And for conflict resolution, I understand that this is the best thing, that you understand perspective, whether it is a child's perspective, because as older people we feel that, well, children don't have any opinion, they may be wrong all the time, but a child may be very bright, and as the Indian philosophy and culture believes that, the soul is very mature, some children are brilliant, so their perspective teaches us a lot. Child psychology teaches a lot about education. So I have no questions for you. All I want to say is that in a democracy, in a global environment like ours, understanding different perspectives is very important. And above all, those timeless values of justice, fair play, equality, liberty, fraternity, they hold good. About that, there cannot be any particular understanding. There are opposite of understanding perspective is autocracy, egocentrism. So there are countries which are totalitarian countries. We had a military coup in Myanmar 3 days ago. So maybe the military rulers have a perspective which may not be right. But we as a global community, we understand perspectives and we arrive at an understanding which is peaceful. So congratulations once again, and keep up the good work. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am, for your enlightening words. Jyoti, ma'am, please share your views regarding the presentation and any question you would like to ask from our interns.
Renu, I'll start by saying, wow, it was wonderful. Congratulations, Team Yugan, everybody, Devika, Tanishka, Shireen, Architi, Namita, everybody. And I think, Ria, you've done a wonderful job. The job of a mentor, I understand, is also, I would say, probably demands more hard work, than what the team members are doing. So it was wonderfully presented. I must compliment the way the presentation was put together. I just loved it. I mean, the animations you'd put, the stories you'd put, the examples that you'd quoted, very apt, very pertinent, very, very good. So I really wanted to start by saying wow. And I think Aparna ma'am has rightly, put everything together. Talking about perspectives, that is the essence of all successful relationships. And seeing the young minds talking about it, giving their perspective on understanding perspectives was really good. Each individual has a unique background and unique life experiences. So we can say that the perspectives can be unique and different. But as Aparna ma'am said, all perspectives are correct. You cannot say that there is a huge difference in understanding the same thing. The political issue we're facing right now, with so many people sitting on the border, and their own fellow mates are in favor of something, They are not government. One party is in favor, the other is not. Again, it's all a play of perspective. But who's right, who's wrong? Here we cannot say. Everybody is right. Again, we cannot say. I also would like to mention, the book Secret Hair by Rhonda Byrne. I don't know if you've heard of it. It also talks about the power of positive thinking. Like attracts the like you'd also mentioned in your presentation. You try to see the world, or you see the world you want to see it like. Now, that is how this snowballs. So, if you emit positive energy, it is very likely you're going to get it back. This is the essence which I want all the children to carry from now on. Life is dull and white. We all want colors. So this difference of perspective, this diversity is what makes life beautiful. You also talked about conflict, and like Aparna ma'am also mentioned about conflict resolution. I would not say it is a question. I would want to understand your perspective on conflict resolution. You are at a stage wherein you also understand the difference in perspectives now, be it with your parents, be it with your friends, be it with your teachers or other fellow mates. So, what is your perspective of conflict resolution? If anybody could comment, how would you want to go ahead? If you have, I simplify it. If you have a difference of perspective, say with your parents at home, and that causes the conflict. So, how do you want to go about solving that, resolving that conflict? Is what I would like to understand from anyone.
Ma'am, for instance, let's talk about period taxes. There's something that is being widely talked about in the government right now. Period taxes might be right for some people, period taxes might not be right for some people, but that is the thing that exists. People believe that their perspectives are right and the others are wrong. While we're talking about conflict resolution, this is a conflict amongst the feminist society that our period tax is right, our period tax is wrong. Here, we need to understand that understanding the perspective, understanding what the others are trying to say, and weighing off the pros and cons is extremely important because we need to maintain and need to develop a sustainable society and also a healthy society. With that, I believe I've answered your question.
Yeah, Shireen, that was the ideal answer. But I still wanted, to understand the practical aspect of it. Talk about you having a conflict with your friend. There was a difference of perspective on a certain topic. How would you like to go about it? Are you going to leave it at that because you have to respect other person's perspective, but that's somewhere affecting you. That's having a great impact on you. Or simply put, at home. We all have been at home. It's been some time now, and definitely, in all relationships you do have a difference in perspective. You would have also had with your parents, and on certain occasions. So, if anybody else would also like to comment on this, how do you go about resolving the conflicts that arise on a daily basis?
Talking on a more personal level, such as conflicts with our parents, our friends, or siblings, and all. When we have conflicts, there's a point where we reach a moment of most emotional instability. We come to overreact and go above our emotions. But at those times, what resolution we can come up with is that to calm ourselves down. Try to think of what thoughts we have. Try to think of what thoughts the other side has, because what they're saying. They have some reasons behind them, and those reasons are correct for them. While the reasons that we have, they're correct for us. So what I try to do myself is come up with points which I would like to tell the other side so that they know why I'm saying what I'm saying. And on the other hand, they try to explain to me what they're saying. In this way, we can reach a conclusion, we can reach a resolution which is suitable for both the parties.
Yeah, Tanishka,
Tanishka
thank
is
you.
right, Jyoti.
Yeah,
May I add something to it? Because, youngsters
yeah.
keeping a calm mind, putting their point across, not being argumentative, but the issues. I know a young boy who, at the age of 17, he was a student of class 11. He wanted a bike. His parents were not agreeing. This young boy, he wrote his points about 10, 11 pages, and he wrote down why he needed a bike, how he is going to be responsible about it. He also wrote what are the concerns of his parents. And parents, they understood that the boy was mature and he would agree to these things. So this was the family conflict we talked about. I'll give you another example. There's a difference of attitudes. I'll give you an example from a small village. There's this old woman and there's this young woman who's given birth to a second daughter. Her husband worked in the city, and he comes home after 15 days, and the old lady, she's very frustrated and angry that his wife has given birth to another daughter and it is going to be a burden. And this kind of perception, this kind of attitudes, they exist in the families. And this man who had the second daughter, he was very calm and he tells his mother that, well, mother, why should you say that she is going to be a burden? She is going to be a great woman like you. You have given birth to a man like me, and I'm so proud of you. I'm going to be proud of my daughter also. And this old lady, this thing must have been told to her maybe 10, 12 years ago, but she narrated this thing in every meeting, in every conference she went to. And she said, my son changed my perspective. He changed my attitude. He changed. This led to my behavior change, and I became a social leader. I talked in my family and my community that do not discriminate against girls. So this is it. Calmness is good,
Yeah, yeah,
and
Tanishka, very well
communication.
put, and thank you, Parna ma'am. I would just like to add, there is a very important life skill which I wanted to highlight here. That is effective communication, and like
Exactly.
what Tanishka was saying, this is called as assertive communication. Which is an ability to express, your positive and negative ideas and your feelings in an open, honest, and direct way. It recognizes your rights and responsibilities, and you have also to respect the rights of the others, so that helps you to take the responsibility for your own self, for your own actions, without judging or blaming others. So I think that is the right way to go forward when it comes to conflict resolution. So that is what I wanted to highlight. You talked about emotional intelligence in your PPT, which was very good. You also talked about self reflection, which is yet another, very, very important skill, which everybody at all ages, you need to develop that. So thank you, Team Yugan. It was a wonderful presentation, and really happy to know your views and ideas.
Congratulations and claps to you. All the best.
Absolutely, well deserved.
Absolutely, really, very, very good job done, Ria. I mean, we're really proud to see you all doing so well. And I'm totally amazed with the kind of presentation you guys gave and the movie. It all seemed you all together, though you are, far apart. So it's beautiful. So I think thank you so much for the presentation. And Renu, let's just wind up because we just have 1 minute for the next
Okay,
presentation.
ma'am, yes. So, once again, I want to thank our jury members, mentor, and ANON team for this delightful evening and your valuable time for this wonderful session. Stay home, stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Renu. All the best.
Thank you. So we'll join Jyoti ma'am and Aparna ma'am. We'll see you at 6.